Hello and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Alfonso Peluso and I'm a Studio Associate Professor in the College of Architecture at IIT, the home of the legendary Mies van der Rohe, and I'm adjunct faculty at Columbia College in the Interior Architecture program. Shout out to all my students. I hope you're doing well today. It's a nice fall day, kind of chilly, a little drizzly outside, but what's to be expected at this time of the year in the fall. I hope wherever you're at, the weather is nice and you're enjoying yourself. So this is part 2 of our Revit Basics video. So if you haven't seen Revit Basics video number 1, go down to the description in this video and click on the link for Revit Basics number 1. In Revit Basics number 1, this is where we ended up with this camera view with some shade and shadow. And we also had built about this much of the building. So we have a little bit more to build to finish this off, and that's what we're going to do today, is finish the build. And I will show you what we will end up with today. Okay, so we'll end up with enclosing the entire structure and having a stair in it. And if we look at this in 3D, you'll see that we've completed all of the exterior walls, the roof, and somewhere in there is the stair. Alright, before we jump into today's tutorial, if you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, go ahead and search me up on YouTube, click on the subscribe button, click on the bell for all the notifications. I have videos on here for every topic related to computer design in architecture and interior architecture. So there's something on here for everyone. Also, connect with me on Instagram, trying to get the 2,000 followers, see what my students and I are up to. Alright, let's jump into the tutorial. Alright, so this is where we ended up. So I'm going to go to a 3D view, click on a little house, and I'm going to start with this curtain wall in the, I call it the front, but it's actually the south elevation. So I'm going to go ahead and model this in 3D space. I'm going to work a little bit in 3D space this time around. Last time we worked mainly in 2D space. I'm going to go ahead and click on wall, and it's going to make us, by default it remembers the last wall that I made, so that's a storefront. So under curtain wall I'm going to choose storefront, and if I scroll down, it already has a number of 4 and 4 in there. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so I'm going to snap from this column over to this column. Now I want my glass to be facing outward. Right now that glass is facing inward. So I'm going to select it, wait for all the blue lines to show up. Sometimes it's better just to zoom out. Let's select it, hit the space bar, and get that glass to move to the outside. So now the double line, it's a little bit hard to see, but the double line glass is facing the south elevation, facing toward the outside. Okay, the other thing I'd like to do is move it. So get all those blue lines to show up, type in MV for move, and move it back to that column. I keep hitting escape. It's my go-to key. Okay, so I'm going to select this, and if I go to edit type, last time we changed the vertical grid layout and the horizontal grid layout to fixed number. So that's already been done as part of, that's now this type of curtain wall is using fixed number. So for this, if I look at the south elevation, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 vertical and 1 horizontal. So I just need to change this to 1 horizontal. And the other thing I need to do is change its height. So I'm going to select it and change the height of this to top of exterior wall. Alright, fantastic. Now I'm going to take this and copy it, CO for copy, from see if I can see exactly where that edge of that column is. From I think it's here. From that column to this column. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put in this door. So this door is a family that can be loaded into Revit. So the way that you select elements of the curtain wall, like for example, I need to select this curtain wall panel that sits in here, is I put my cursor in one place and I leave it there, and I press and release the tab key, and it's cycling through things that I can select that are part of that curtain wall. And I want to find the curtain wall panel. So I'm going to go ahead and select that curtain wall panel, and I'm going to unpin it. Now when I unpin it, it allows me to change it. So I need to load in the door family, which is not loaded in by default. Now if I go to Insert, Load Family, it's going to bring me to this English Imperial folder by default. And it didn't by default have all these families loaded. So if you don't see all these different family types loaded in here, what you need to do is you need to go to your web browser, and I just did a quick search for Revit 2022 Family Library Download, and I picked the first one and it brought me here. And then I went down to US English content for Revit, and I downloaded this exe file, and that placed my content where I needed it to be. So chances are, if you've just downloaded Revit 2022 on your computer, you'll have to do the same thing, so you can follow those steps. Okay, so I'm going to load that family. So this family that I'm loading is from my doors, and it's a door curtain wall double storefront. Now it's funny, they got rid of the handles on the actual model, which I'm kind of disappointed. I liked seeing those handles in there. Okay, so that's door curtain wall double storefront. So I load that in, and then it doesn't automatically apply it to the panel. I have to tab through, select the panel, and go over here to the properties panel and go down and find door curtain wall double storefront. Okay, that changes my door. So that's separate from the curtain wall, just to let you know, it's separate from the curtain wall. When I select the curtain wall, it's that. When I select the door, it's that one. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mirror this to the other side. So we'll look at using hide isolate. So what I can do is I can select this curtain wall. I'm using my control key. I can select those doors, and then this curtain wall, and then also the first floor. And I'm going to type in HI for hide isolate. So HI is a shortcut that temporarily hides everything else but what was selected. So now I can make a window selection, type in DM, find the midpoint here, and then just go across to the other side Make sure it's horizontal, or hold down the shift key, which gets rid of the blue line, which I don't like, but the shift key works. Okay, so now we've mirrored that to the other side. Okay, so if I type in HR, it brings back my objects. So the shortcut is hide reset HR. And if you notice on this elevation, there are these walls that are on the bottom half of the curtain wall. So I want to add in those walls. So I have to change the profile of this curtain wall. So I'm going to select this, type in HI. All right, look at this for 1 second. It's it has two panels on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to select the door and the curtain wall. Type in HI. Alright, so I'm going to look at this from a straight on elevation here. So I'm double clicking on back. Okay, so I'll select the curtain wall. I'll click on edit profile. This is the profile of the curtain wall. So what this can do is, I can do things like this. Hopefully I'm not going to get in too much trouble here. I can always undo. Okay, so now the curtain wall looks like that. It's on an angle. Just Control Z to go back. The other thing that I can do is I can add line segments. So I'm going to add a line segment from here back over to there. I'm going to take this one and pick it up, and take this one and move it over. So I did that pretty fast. I wasn't too concerned about the accuracy. It just all depends on what Revit wants, basically. So if you notice, this one's on the far right. This one is kind of in the middle. But let's see what happens. So when I click on my check mark, yeah, it kind of pushed those. It pushed those up, so that did kind of hurt me a little bit. So let's go back and move this down. Okay, so now I'm on the outside, or I'm on the bottom, outside of the mullion or the bottom of the mullion, and I'm on the outside of this mullion or the right of that mullion. Okay. Gives me a little error that some panels in this curtain wall are slightly malformed. The problem is most likely ignorable. Great, that's all I want to hear. It's ignorable. Okay. Alright, so that gives me the shape of that curtain wall. Now I can type in HR, and I need to do the same thing with this curtain wall. So I'm going to type in HI, hide isolate, go to my back view, click on edit profile, draw my line, so I need to keep these two. Okay, I need to move this one back. Actually, that one gets deleted. This one gets moved up. Okay, and same situation where I can take that line, type in MV, and move it down. Okay, click on the green check mark. Oh, lines must be in closed loop. I deleted that bottom one. So I actually need it to be here. Lines must be in closed loop. That's important. So now, can't create curtain wall mullion. The portion of the current grid is placed on no longer exists. I can click on delete elements. Okay. Alright, so you get slightly different errors there. One was there was a malformed panels, which was ignorable. This one, you have to click on delete elements. It's important that you do that. All right, HR to get everything back. All right. Now I want to draw the infill walls that go into those locations. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try it in 3D and see what happens. Okay, so I'll go to architecture wall. This is going to be a generic 6-inch wall. Alright, so it automatically fits the height in there, which I really didn't expect the first time around doing that. So I'm happy with that. Looks like it's snapping pretty nice here. Let's take a look at it in plan. So let's go to level 1 view. And this is the south elevation. So it's a little off here. So I'm going to select that, type in MV, snap to that column. Now you notice it's joining it. We ran into the situation last time where it's joining it to the column. So I want to unjoin that. So I can go to modify, go to the down arrow and choose unjoin. Okay. All right. So we have that wall. Let's go ahead and draw this wall in. I'm going to take this and move it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's take a look at it in plan. Okay, it looks pretty good. It joined it, so I want to unjoin it. Go to modify, unjoin. This is a shortcut called TL for thin lines. TL, thin lines. You noticed here, it was really kind of hard to tell if these things were lined up because it's using the thick lines. If I type in TL for thin lines, I can really tell that those all are lining up. So that's the shortcut, TL, thin lines. Okay. Now it's time to add in our roofs. So there's 3 roofs because one of them is pitched up. You can see this one is pitched up. So we're going to have to put in that pitch. So we're going to be drawing this on top of exterior wall. That's our level that we're going to draw these roofs on. So if I go to architecture and I choose roof, it's going to ask me, you have created the roof on the lowest level. Would you like to move it to level 2? Thanks for asking. I'm going to move it to the top of exterior wall actually. And that's going to allow me to snap. When I choose my rectangles, that's going to allow me to snap at the top of the roof level. If I didn't specify top of exterior wall, it wouldn't snap to these objects at top of exterior wall. Okay, so some things we'll have to deal with here in a sec. Okay, so you notice there's these triangles in here. These will define the slope. If I was to just click the check mark, I would get this sloped roof. Okay, I want it to be flat, so I don't want those to define the slope. So if I select this, go to edit footprint, and then I I actually highlight 1, leave my cursor where it's at, press the tab key once, it then highlights. So see that? I have the tab key, or I go to select the line, it selects just the line. But when I press and release the tab key, it selects the whole entire outline. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to uncheck Define Slope. And I'll hit the green check mark, and that'll have a flat roof. I'll do that one more time for this front roof. So I'll go to Roof. I'll tell it that I want it to be on top of exterior wall. I'll choose the rectangle tool. Snap to the outside of that column and the outside of the other column. Hit escape a couple times. So go ahead and select one of those sketch lines, press and release the tab key. That's all of them. And I'll uncheck Define Slope. Okay. Now we're going to do this middle one, which is a little bit different but quite similar. Okay, so click on Roof, top of exterior wall, choose my rectangle, so I'm going to go from that one, that corner of the roof to this corner of the roof. Hit escape a few times. Put my cursor over one of the edges, press and release the tab key until they all are highlighted. Select. Uncheck Define Slope. And I'm going to add in a slope arrow. So if you see here, it's sloping up in this direction. So I'm going to add a slope arrow in at its midpoint. So what you see is the height at the offset. Height offset at head is 10 feet. So I'm going to get a 10 feet offset here when I click the check mark. There's that 10 feet height offset. Alright. Now I have some curtain wall that I need to fill this in with. So I'm going to start here on this side. And I'm going to choose Wall. Scroll down to Storefront. And I want to draw this wall here. I want to draw it on the top of exterior wall. So I'm going to change my base constraint to top of exterior wall. Click Apply. Now it's snapping. Before I did that, it wouldn't snap to the top of this wall. So now I can snap to it. I'm going to pick that endpoint. Pick the endpoints of these roofs. So picking that endpoint and picking this endpoint. Okay. A couple other things I want to do is I want to make sure the glass is facing outward. So I'm going to select it, press my space bar. Now it's outward, and I'm going to move it back. Move it back to align it to the roof. Okay. Used MV as a shortcut. Okay, so now I am going to edit this profile. So I'll select it, edit profile, and I'm going to draw a triangle. So I'm going to snap to this point and go up across. Happens to be the midpoint because it's a 20-foot wall. Okay. So I can get rid of this line. This line I need to drag down, so I'm making a closed loop. I'm making a closed triangle. I can get rid of this one. Okay, this is a closed triangle. Okay, this is that time where I need to delete elements. It's important that I do that. Okay. Alright, so I haven't decided yet if I'm going to get rid of these horizontal. I probably will get rid of the horizontal mullions. Let's go ahead and mirror this to the other side. So I'm going to select it, type in DM. So it's not going to give me the midpoint of the roof. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it. And I'm also going to select with the control key, I'm going to select the floor. Type in HI. And I'll go ahead and DM. Find the midpoint of that. Make sure this is nice and straight. I can hold my shift key. Alright. HR gets everything back. So we're getting there. Now I have to draw across, some mullions across here. So I'll try this again with my wall. Curtain wall storefront. Top of exterior wall is the base constraint. I'm gonna go ahead and draw that. Now it won't snap to the top of this wall here. I have to snap to top of exterior wall. So that's down at the bottom of the roof. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that point and go to the other side. I'll orbit around. Okay. So let's get the height of this. So the height of this should be 10 feet. And we're going to have, instead of 4 vertical, I want to match what I have down here, which is 8, 4 on each side. So I'm going to choose 8 vertical. And horizontal, I don't know yet what I want for horizontal. Let me try to. Okay, I knew it was going to be really challenging to line up with the other side. So let me add 1. And then I'm going to get rid of these. So I don't have to worry about how that turns the corner. Okay. So now the building should be fully enclosed. And we'll move on to model the stair. Okay, so let's go to level 1. Alright, so this AutoCAD stair that's drawn in here has too many rises, too many risers and runs. So I'm going to have to just shorten the length of it. So I'm going to go to stair, and run is my default, and straight creates a straight run by specifying a start point and an end point. So it creates these straight runs, and then it also creates the landing between them. So if I start somewhere about here and I draw up, and then for my other part of the stair I'm going to start here. Actually, let me start here, and I'll draw the rest of that up. It looks a little off. Let's go back to starting here. Okay, so that draws the rest of the stair. So let's click the green check mark, and let's take a look at this in 3D. so what I want to do is I want to hide isolate. The stair. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to move this stair back so that it lines up in plan with the mezzanine. So if I go to top view, see if it lets me do it. MV. About there. Type in HR. That's Rita. She must see an animal or something in the backyard. Alright, and that's the stair. So if we look at this in our camera view, which is underneath our 3D view, we now have the stair in there and we have the building fully enclosed. Alright, so that's Revit Basics Part 2. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click on the thumbs up. Give me a comment on why you liked it. I'm going to pop up 2 videos on the upper right and on the upper left. 2 Revit videos that you want to take a look at. And I will see you on the next one.